Well, butternut squash is definitely the MVP of the squash world. It's just so versatile, it's so rich in flavor, and it's just so easy to use. So you're gonna wanna stick around because this is a great soup that you might wanna add to your Thanksgiving menu. I'm Judy Matuski. I'm a registered dietitian and culinary nutritionist with Athens Nutrition in Ardmore, and I'm always trying to cook with recipes that are light and fast and with 5-ish ingredients. So they're super simple and easy to prepare. So thanks for joining. And today we are making this incredibly ultra creamy with no cream, no butter, butternut pear soup. And it's from a fantastic cookbook. Erin Gleeson has a few cookbooks. This is one of hers. This I think is one of her first books. It's called Forest Feast. What I love about it is that her recipes are just very simple. They're almost just an assembly of ingredients, but they're absolutely fabulous. So this is one of hers, so I'd like to give a shout out to her. We are going to be doing a couple things. I did, just for the video and just to get through a little bit quicker, I did one of these steps ahead of time, and that is the roasting of the butternut squash, the onions, and the pears. So I'll walk you through that. But what I do want to do is I really want to just talk a little bit about the butternut squash. So you've got a couple options. You can certainly buy it already peeled, already cubed in the supermarket. There is no shame in doing that if you really don't want to go through the prep of, buying a whole butternut squash and then chopping it yourself. But I do want to show you how easy it is. So they're so inexpensive, they're so plentiful right now, and you can use butternut squash in so many different ways. It could be a replacement for your pumpkin in your pumpkin pie. You can certainly roast it, you can mash it like mashed potatoes. So it's fabulous, but I wanted to show you a couple quick things. Peeling it, you have two options. You can peel it with your knife or you can just peel it with a vegetable peeler. I read somewhere that if you pierce it with a knife, just to pierce a couple holes in it, and you pop it in the microwave for about 3 minutes, the whole thing, it makes the peeling of the butternut squash a little bit easier. I did it with the one that I roasted ahead of time, and I think it's true. So I just wanted to show you, though, how easy it is to peel. This one I did pierce. I put it in the microwave for like 3 minutes. You can skip that step. You'll still be able to peel it. But you're just going to take a nice sharp vegetable peeler and just run it down the squash, and you're just going to take that outer skin off because it's just not that pleasant. It's not something that we really want to eat. Squash is like a delicata squash. They have skins that are super soft, and you don't have to peel them. You can just eat the whole thing. This one, not so much. So really, you're just running your peeler straight down. And the main thing, and I don't know if you can see them, probably not with the video and the lighting, but there's a little bit of some green like veining through here, and you kind of want to get that out. You want to go deep enough so you kind of get through all of that, because I feel like that can still be like a little bit on the tougher side if you don't get that you don't peel that off. All right, so you're going to peel that. So basically, that takes literally a minute. And then you just want to make sure you have a really sharp knife, and you're just going to take right where the stem sort of meets the bulb of the squash. Just take your knife and just push it down through. It's a little, just a little bit of muscle to get through there, muscle strength. But anyway, then you end up with two pieces. So you would take the stem, and then I'm just going to cut the tip off, so you have a nice flat surface. And then what I do is I just take my knife and I go straight through it, just run it down through, and now you have two pieces, and now you have a flat surface to chop with. That's the one thing. You definitely don't want to be chopping with round surfaces. That's just an accident waiting to happen. So you don't really want to be doing that. So let's just let me just move this one to the side. So if this was all peeled, then you're gonna just maybe 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and then just run your knife right through it. And then you end up with these little wedges, right? So then you would take the wedges and, just kind of cube them up. So that's it. That's how simple it is. So you're just really, it's not much. It's 5 minutes max to take a full butternut squash, peel it, and chop it. Now with the bulb end, really what you're gonna do is we would be slicing this in half. You're gonna scoop out the seeds, and then the same thing, just cut it into wedges and then cube it up. So super simple. It's just sometimes we don't necessarily you see these things, you may not necessarily know how to work with them, but I just wanted to let you know how easy they are to use, because they're not as tough as like pumpkin. I mean, pumpkin has a very thick skin, and that's a little bit tough to get through. All right, so I went ahead, let me just show you. I went ahead and I roasted the butternut squash. I just cubed it up just like I showed you, with pears. Now the recipe calls for 4 pears, and I think that just depends on the size. These were huge, so I ended up only using 2 of these pears. I didn't peel them, just cut them up. And then I used a pretty large onion. This is probably larger than you need, but this is the size I had, so I just used the whole thing because I love onion anyway in soups. So it was the pears, the onions, and the cubed butternut squash. Used some parchment to line your baking sheet. Just tossed it with a tablespoon or 2 of olive oil and a little sprinkling of salt, and then it went into the oven about 375, 400, maybe 30 minutes. It doesn't really take that long. This is a step you could do ahead of time. Like I did this step yesterday, which is great. So if you wanted to even get your things roasted off ahead of time, let me tell you that when I was roasting them, it just smelled like Thanksgiving in my kitchen. Oh my gosh, it smelled absolutely fabulous. So I actually have 2 sheet trays. So when you cut up your butternut squash, or if you're buying it in the supermarket, and your pears and your onions, the volume you get is really going to fill 2 sheet trays. So if you don't have 2, you're going to have to rotate that 1 sheet tray through the oven. All right, so we have that done. And then the next couple steps are just so simple. All we're going to do is take those roasted vegetables and fruit, and we're going to put them right into the blender. So I'm going to pull that over right now. Let me bring it back. We're going to do it in batches. So I'm going to take one of the sheet trays with the roasted vegetables on it, and we're going to whirl that up in the blender. It does take a full quart, it's 4 cups of vegetable broth. So we'll put half the vegetable broth in now. So this is going to take like 2 cups. Of the vegetable broth, and then I have a little spice blend. It's just half of a teaspoon of nutmeg, half of a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a half a teaspoon of curry. And that's what's in here. I added a little bit of extra salt because I did not salt my vegetables very much when I roasted them, so I figured we're going to need a little bit more. That's what's here in the spice blend, so I'm going to go ahead and put that all in the first round of the blender. Now, one thing, if you've never, I don't know how you buy your nutmeg, but if you've never bought nutmeg, let me get the right one. If you've never used whole nutmeg before, I would really encourage, I don't know if you can see that, it almost looks like a little pecan. And you either could use your microplane if you have one. I actually have just a little nutmeg grinder. And then you just would grind this fresh nutmeg into the soup. You'd use this as your spice rather than pre-ground nutmeg. You can certainly use pre-ground, but it smells so good. There's nothing better than freshly ground nutmeg in my opinion, especially around the holidays. So my preference is to usually use the whole nutmeg, and then I just grind it fresh. But that's just a little extra step if you want to take it, but sometimes I think it's worth it. All right, and then we're going to add a half a cup of plain yogurt. You could use Greek yogurt. The recipe calls for Greek. This is not Greek yogurt. Either way, it's fine. I just didn't have Greek yogurt, so this is just regular plain yogurt, low fat. And so that goes in, and now we're just going to blend this all together. And again, we always get the noise that comes with all of this, but this is the way it is. All right, so let me get this on, and we'll blend this up. And you want to really get it blended, because you really want to break down everything so it's nice and creamy and smooth. All right, I'm going to turn it up a little bit. All right. And now, so because you're doing it in batches, what you're going to want to do, which I'm just going to skip that step for now, when you do this first batch, just pour this in just in like a soup pot, because you're going to want to heat it up on the stove. So for like 10 minutes before you serve it. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to pour this into a bowl because I'm going to do the second batch. All right, but you would want to put this into a pan or into a pot, into a soup pot, so that you can warm it up on the stove. So let's just take the second half of the roasted vegetables and pears. This is a lot. I mean, it makes a decent amount of soup, which is great. All right, so let's put that in. And then we're just going to add, because we've already added the spices, we've already added the yogurt, so we don't need to do that. Now we just need to add the rest of the vegetable stock. And we're doing vegetable stock because I was keeping this as a vegan option for you, so I did all vegetable. If you wanted to do chicken, you could. That would be fine. And if you feel like you need a little bit, depends on your preference. The soup is a little thick. It's meant to be that way. If you want it to be a little bit thinner, then you're going to want to add a little more vegetable broth, and you can do that at the end. It's up to you. I like it on the thick side, but it just depends on your preference. Okay, so let me just get this one going. All right, and you can use any blender. This is a Vitamix. You don't have to have a Vitamix for this. Any blender will work. But as opposed to the food processor, which I tend to use a lot more than I use my blender, this definitely works better in the blender. It'll get a little bit smoother and a little creamier for you. All right. So that's the second batch. We'll just pour this in. Then we're just going to mix it all together, just so that we can get the yogurt and all the spices blended with the second batch that we did, because we didn't add it together. All right. Let me just grab. Oh, here I have it right here. All right. So then we're just going to blend this around. All right, and that's it. I mean, that's it. It's so fast and easy. That's why this would be a great addition. I don't know if you can hear, but my dog's barking in the background. This would be a great addition to Thanksgiving, because I think we're always looking for some easy, really delicious things to add to our menu, so that things that don't take a long time. You can make this ahead of time. You can make it 2 days ahead of time and just have it in your fridge. All you're going to have to do is heat it right back up. This just is fabulous. And what's really fun about soups, I think, this time of the year is when you have really nice, warm soups that you're eating. There's been really good research done that shows that for most of us, when we include like a broth-based soup or a lighter soup, and we have that before our meals, we end up eating less at the meal, because it's so satisfying. It really helps us to start to, increase our satiety early on in the meal. When we eat a hot soup, we have to eat it slowly. That really helps very much for satiety. And then by the time you're done with that soup, the volume of that soup is just so satisfying and so filling that most of the time you end up eating less at the meal. So that might be a really nice thing to add to Thanksgiving, because we know Thanksgiving meals can be pretty heavy. So maybe that would be a cute little hack or trick that you could add. All right, so we're going to take the soup, and I'll just ladle this into the bowl. And I'll tell you, the color of the soup is going to depend on a couple things. If your butternut squash is a little bit bigger, you're going to have more squash ratio to the pears and the onion. So it's going to be a little bit deeper orange. If you have a little bit of a smaller butternut squash, then you're going to have maybe more ratio of the pear and the onion. So it might be a little bit lighter in color. So I've made this a couple of times, and the color is a little different each time. So here it is. It's nice and creamy. No cream, no butter, and it's not needed. You will not miss it. It has such a rich, wonderful flavor without it. Now, what's really fun about this recipe, what Erin added was, instead of using regular bread croutons, she popped popcorn and added popcorn as a cute little kind of whimsical little addition for the croutons at the end, which I think is just so darn cute. So I pre-popped this popcorn. And I have no affiliation with this company, but this is popcorn, not out of the bag with who knows what's added to it that you put in the microwave. Just regular popcorn with this microwavable popcorn popper. It's from a company called LaQuay, and you can get it online on Amazon. It's fantastic. You just put a teeny bit of oil at the bottom, or none at all. I like a little bit, and then the little popcorn you pop in the microwave, and it just works really, really well. So this is kind of a little bit fun. We've been playing around with that a little bit more lately. All right, so here's your popcorn soup. Your butternut pear soup with popcorn croutons Absolutely delicious, super easy. Make it ahead. It freezes really well. So, you've got a lot of options here. If you want more recipes, please visit us at athensnutrition.com. We have a free recipe bundle that you can download. Once you give us your email, if you'd like, we'll be sending you a weekly newsletter that always has 4 recipes to cook each week. Not all of them are 5 ingredients, but most of them are going to be pretty simple and really fun to do, and certainly lighter than maybe what you're used to cooking. So give that a try. Also, all of our videos live in 2 places. If you want to watch any of the previous cooking videos, we have them on our Facebook Live page, our Facebook page, Athens Nutrition's Facebook page, as well as we have Athens Nutrition has a YouTube channel. So any of our videos are always getting uploaded to that as well. So if you've missed any of them, or if you want to go back and see some of the other ones that we've done, please do. All right, share it if you know friends and family that you think would really enjoy watching. We'd love to have them join our healthy community, and have a great day. And absolutely see if you can try this soup over Thanksgiving if you celebrate. All right, take care. Bye-bye.